Welcome to EngloStories. Today, we have a special tale that has been loved for thousands of years. The Crow and the Pitcher is one of Aesop's most famous fables, written around 600 BCE. Aesop was a storyteller from ancient Greece who created short stories with important life lessons. This is a story about a clever crow who faces a difficult problem on a hot summer day. The crow is very thirsty, but cannot reach the water it desperately needs. Will the bird find a way to quench its thirst? Or will it give up and fly away? This simple tale teaches us an important lesson about using our intelligence to solve problems and the value of never giving up when facing challenges. Now, let's begin our story. It was the middle of summer in a dry, dusty countryside. The sun blazed in the clear blue sky, sending waves of heat across the land. Trees stood still, as there was not even a gentle breeze to rustle their leaves. The grass had turned from green to yellow under the relentless sun. Small animals had retreated to their cool homes underground, and even the insects were quiet in the midday heat. In this scorching landscape, a large black crow flew slowly across the sky. Its glossy feathers shone in the sunlight as it moved from tree to tree, searching for something. The crow had been flying for hours and was growing increasingly thirsty. Its throat was dry, and its wings were becoming heavy with exhaustion. The bird's sharp eyes scanned the ground below, hoping to find a stream, a puddle, or even morning dew on leaves. But the drought had dried up most water sources in the area. The crow continued its desperate search, knowing that without water it would not survive much longer in this heat. As the afternoon wore on, the crow spotted something in a garden near an old stone house. There, partially hidden among some plants, stood a tall clay pitcher. The crow's heart leaped with hope. Perhaps this container held the precious water it so desperately needed. The crow swooped down and landed beside the pitcher. It tilted its head and examined the tall clay vessel. The pitcher was almost as tall as the crow itself, with a narrow neck and a wide body. The bird hopped around it, studying it from all angles. Peering inside, the crow's spirits lifted. Yes, there was water inside. The bird could see the gleam of liquid at the bottom of the pitcher. Its thirst became even more intense at the sight of water so close. The crow stretched its neck and tried to reach the water with its beak, but the pitcher was too deep. The crow stepped back and considered the problem. It tried a different approach, tipping the pitcher slightly with its wing. The pitcher was too heavy to knock over. Next, the crow attempted to push its head into the opening, but the neck of the pitcher was too narrow for the bird's head to fit through. Growing frustrated but not defeated, the crow paced around the pitcher. It pecked at the sides, hoping to make a crack, but the thick clay was too strong. The minutes passed, and the crow's thirst grew worse. The water was so close yet impossible to reach. Other birds might have given up and flown away to look elsewhere, but this crow was different. It was known among the other animals for its intelligence and determination. As the crow sat beside the pitcher, it noticed small pebbles scattered on the ground nearby. The bird stared at the stones, then back at the pitcher. Slowly, an idea began to form in its clever mind. With newfound energy, the crow picked up a pebble in its beak. It flew up to the rim of the pitcher and dropped the stone inside. There was a small plop as the pebble hit the water. The crow watched carefully, then nodded to itself. It flew down, picked up another pebble, and again dropped it into the pitcher. One by one, the crow collected pebbles and dropped them into the pitcher. Each stone that fell into the water made a smaller splash than the one before. The work was slow and tiring. The hot sun beat down on the crow's black feathers, making it even more thirsty. Still, the bird continued its work patiently, driven by both its thirst and its clever plan. After what seemed like hours of labor, the crow paused to check its progress. It peered into the pitcher once more. The water level had risen slightly, but it was still too low to reach. The crow knew its plan was working, but would it be enough? Would the bird's strength last long enough to finish the task? With determination burning in its eyes, the crow worked faster. It found larger pebbles that would displace more water and carried them to the pitcher. Drop after drop, stone after stone, the water level crept higher. The crow's wings ached, and its beak was sore from carrying so many stones, but it refused to stop. The pile of pebbles on the ground grew smaller as the collection inside the pitcher grew larger. Other animals passing by watched the crow with curiosity. A rabbit stopped to observe the bird's strange behavior. A squirrel chattered from a nearby tree, seemingly mocking the crow's efforts. But the crow ignored them all, focused entirely on its task. Finally, after dropping what must have been the 100th pebble, the crow noticed something different. The water level had risen significantly. It was now just a short distance from the top of the pitcher. With renewed energy, the crow gathered the last few pebbles and dropped them in. The moment of truth had arrived. The crow cautiously approached the rim of the pitcher and looked inside. The water had risen almost to the top. With a flutter of excitement, the crow carefully leaned forward and dipped its beak into the water. At last, the cool liquid touched its parched throat. The crow drank deeply, savoring each precious drop of the life-giving water that it had worked so hard to reach. After quenching its thirst, the crow stood tall and proud beside the pitcher. Its clever solution had worked perfectly. The bird looked at the pile of pebbles inside the pitcher that had raised the water level just enough for it to drink. The rabbit and squirrel, who had been watching now, approached the pitcher themselves, curious about what the crow had accomplished. They looked inside and were amazed to see how the bird had solved such a difficult problem. The rabbit tried to reach the water, but couldn't figure out how to get it. The squirrel chattered excitedly as if asking the crow to explain its method. The crow cawed softly, almost as if it were explaining its thinking process to the other animals. It demonstrated by picking up one last pebble and dropping it into the pitcher, showing how each stone raised the water level little by little. Soon, word spread throughout the forest about the clever crow and its ingenious solution. Other birds came to see the pitcher and learn from the crow's example. Some even tried the technique themselves when faced with similar challenges. As the afternoon turned to evening, the crow's strength returned. Its feathers regained their glossy shine, and its eyes brightened with renewed energy. The bird had not only survived the drought, but had also discovered a valuable skill. With the setting sun painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, the crow took one last drink from the pitcher. It spread its wings and launched into the air, soaring above the trees with ease. The bird cawed happily as it flew, perhaps sharing its story with the wind. The pitcher remained in the garden, now half filled with pebbles and water, a testament to the crow's intelligence and perseverance. In the days that followed, the crow returned to the same spot whenever it was thirsty, using its proven method to reach the water. The drought eventually ended, but the crow never forgot the lesson it had learned. Sometimes the greatest problems can be solved not with strength, but with patience, intelligence, and determination, one small step at a time.